I've 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 tried to start this video like 4 times already. Zach, and when I say Zach, I'm talking about Zack Snyder. Listen to me. I'll work for you for free. I will work for you for free. I just have to be look. If there's a chain of command, right? You're the creator. You're up here. I need to be that guy that is in your ear. Not the yes man, but the man that's like, mm, maybe we need to dial it back just a little bit. Or the guy that's like, we need to push this. We need to push this forward just a little bit. Because I didn't like Rebel Moon Part 1. I sure as fuck don't like Rebel Moon Part 2. And I'm gonna be straightforward with you. I didn't finish it. I went and I think I'm on my third watch of Fallout. Like I'm halfway through watching Fallout for the third time, just trying to catch like small things that I've missed here and there. I couldn't finish Rebel Moon Part 2. And it's not because it's horrible. I just didn't care. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story. The only thing that this thing has going for it is the visuals. The visuals are fantastic. But even the visuals and some of the decisions that are made, I'm like, we could have scaled that back just a little bit. We don't need all that extra shit. You could have scaled that back completely and it'd have been cool as shit. Like there's a moment where Ed Skrine's character is in the cocoon and he's being healed. And as he's being healed, there are just like electricity arcs flying everywhere around the room. And I remember I took a second, and usually when I watch something, the analytical part of my brain shuts down and the fun part of my brain turns on, and I'm just living in the moment. And I remember the fun part of my brain shut off and the analytical part of my brain turned on, and I was like, what's all that for? Like, if he's in a healing cocoon, you can just have him in the healing cocoon. You can just have him, because basically healing cocoon is about the tank. Because remember, this began as a Star Wars project that he pitched to Disney. And I'm starting to realize after watching half of this part two, I'm starting to realize why Disney was like, no. And then I'm also starting to realize why Netflix was like, yeah, 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 yeah. Because the Netflix model is to basically put out something that has like a big boom that draws people in, but doesn't really have any substance that's going to carry it forward in multiple different sequels or series or spin-offs. That's one of the reasons why Netflix can release something like The Brother's Son and then cancel it at the oh you motherfuckers. That's a sidebar right there because I literally just started watching that show and it's fantastic and there's nothing worse than getting halfway into a new series and discovering that it got canceled off some bullshit while other shitty shows on Netflix are allowed to continue to exist. But that fits what Netflix likes to feed people, something that seems as though it's a big meal, but in all seriousness there's no calories there. Like after a while it's gonna make you full for about 5 minutes, but then once you go for like a solid brisk 5 minute walk, you're like, fuck, why am I so goddamn hungry again? That's the Netflix model. That's why this completely fits in the Netflix model. It doesn't fit the Disney model because the Disney model is we need to milk this shit as hard as fucking possible. I'm talking about we need to get the milk out the cow, we need to get the steak out the cow, we need to get the ribs out the cow, we need to make sure that we cut off the braid at the end of the cow's tail to sell for hair, we need to go ahead and make sure that we get the skin to turn into fucking leather. We are gonna use every single diametric piece of this cow to make me some money. This series doesn't fit the Disney model, and it's a shame because I actually think the story is really good. There's a good story here to be told. For instance, the relationship between I don't remember his name. It's like a Roman name. Belisarius. The relationship between Belisarius and Korra is basically Thanos and Gamora. where Belisarius is the villain, shows up on her home planet, slaughters all of her people, takes her on as an adoptive daughter, and then raises her to be a badass fucking soldier that's feared throughout the known galaxy. This whole thing, in my opinion, should have just been those two. It should have just been a story about a guy that conquered a planet and in the rubble found a girl, took that girl, brainwashed her, raised her as his own, made her into the most deadliest killing machine in the universe, sent her out to conquer worlds. That girl loses herself and loses her humanity, and then she meets the young princess. And then the relationship between her and the young princess that ends up opening up, or basically being able to crack through the conditioning that she's went through to turn her into a killing machine, because it's the first time that that little girl that's still inside of her somewhere is able to interact with another innocent little girl who hasn't been corrupted by the world, and she chooses to basically betray the father that basically created the monster that she is, to defend that something innocent and something pure. That's an interesting fucking story. All this other shit that's happening doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And this leads into what I was saying about doing too much and then doing too little. You're doing too much with the visuals. You don't need all that shit. But at the exact same time, you're not doing enough with the story. Like, Star Wars hits this really, really cool balance where when you go to a retro planet, or a planet that's it's not as futuristic as Coruscant, but it's not backwater like Outer Rim. Something that's kind of sort of in the middle, like a farming planet. When you go to the farming planet, you see people that are wearing just like normal clothing that you might see maybe in like 150 years from now, but really doesn't fit the type of things that they would wear on Coruscant. They look like the Star Wars equivalent of country bumpkins. But when you see these people, they have speeders, and they have droids, and they have other machinery around them that basically complement them, to show that this takes place in the Star Wars universe, but it's not really in the busy part of the Star Wars universe. You're trying to go for that with the planet that she's essentially been hiding on. The problem is, you don't get that, or at least for me, I didn't get that same sense of feeling that this planet exists in the exact same universe as like all the other shit that's going on in this universe. It feels like there's like this massive disconnect for me, where I wasn't able to bring those two things together like peanut butter and jelly, that I was just constantly like, no, doesn't work out. Because she lands on this planet, she's walking towards like this village, and I'm like, this village feels as though she went through a portal and ended up in a completely different universe that's not as technologically advanced. Like, she stepped through a portal and walked onto a farm in like Ireland somewhere. Weird. Like, and those are like the really small things, because you go from that to like the super sci-fi shit with Ed Skrein's character, then back to like the low sci-fi shit with like the bounty hunters at the port. Well, not the bounty hunters, but the space pirates at the fucking port. Then you go to like the other lo-fi shit, which is like stuff that's happening on the ship, and then you jump right back to this stuff, which is like, ah, we're back on the farm in Ireland again. You gotta find that balance. You gotta figure out what the feng shui is to balance out both aspects of that story. Because what ends up happening is you end up not really giving a shit about the farm planet. There are far more interesting things and implications that are happening. I want to know more about the Empire. I want to know more about Belisarius' like entire fucking backstory. I think he's supposed to have a book. Like, I feel as though we should have probably focused on that story that's being told from that book. Like, to be quite honest, I'm so much more interested in Belisarius and Cora's relationship, that I feel as though I want to go out and actually read that book to see like his rise and what led him to betray the king, queen, and like the eternal princess, and what like his reasonings, like, because you get that aspect of being able to see inside the character's head, because you're getting like that internal monologue. I want more of that. There's a better story to be told. I just think that we chose to basically create two a two parts movie that was technically supposed to be one whole part, which I kind of feel as though we could take both of these part, shred out a bunch of garbage, and we can actually make one cohesive 2 hour 30-minute film that is probably slightly more decent, that doesn't deviate in weird ways in any way, shape, or form than what we essentially got. Zach, hire me. I'm telling you, you drop that script in front of me. I read through that entire script. I'm like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Focus more on this. Bring up this. Tone down that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Stop wasting so much money on the fucking CGI. Scale that back. To be quite honest, it feels like you could scale back the CGI. It will still be fucking gorgeous, and you can hire better writers. Not even hire better writers. Stop writing this shit. Like, no more. You're a great. I'm gonna tell you right now. I will defend you until the day I die, and I will defend this opinion until the day I die. That Sucker Punch is still the best Zack Snyder film he has ever created. I will defend that position until the day I die. But at the exact same time, as somebody who enjoys Zack Snyder's work, I can, in all honesty, say he cannot write a story to save his fucking life. And I feel as though this entire situation that has happened with the DC universe and the Snyderverse has essentially created like this fucking seven-headed hydra that originated from the corpse of that universe that has consumed Zack Snyder, and is just out there in the universe now, where it's just like he thinks that he's just the greatest visual storyteller, the greatest storyboard storyteller. He thinks he's everything. And I'm no, no. You are a fantastic visual storyteller. You have a way of setting up visuals that I think are completely fucking unmatched. Like, sure, sometimes people get on you for the use of slow mo, but at the exact same time, that shit be hitting because you're using it at the perfect time and the perfect moment in order to portray what's going on inside of a scene. However, when it comes to writing a story, you be laying eggs. You are ass. And I feel as though somebody has to say it. You are ass. It was ass in the Snyderverse. The Justice League Snyder cut only barely saved you, but at the exact same time still had the same fucking issues that basically tanked the overall Snyderverse and stopped it from being something halfway decent and great. And your story writing has always and consistently fucking held you back. You're probably the nicest guy in the fucking universe. Everybody will always harp on that and say that Zack Snyder is the dopest fucking person to be around, and that is fine. Somebody can be dope as shit and not be able to sing. You could be dope as fuck and cannot write. You could be my man's and make the absolute worst decisions in regards to your relationships. These two things can exist at the same time. We need to get you either need somebody in the room that you trust to give you the 100% honest truth that what you're writing is dog shit, or you need to stop writing and you need to hire an actual really fucking good writer who's going to be able to draw up the storyboards, hear all of your ideas, put them on a cohesive roadmap, scratch out the shit that does not work. Because I'm telling you right now, when you really sit down and look at the universe that exists in Rebel Moon, it's fucking convoluted. However, like I said, they're at the core. There's a really, really, really great father adopted daughter story that could have been told, and it doesn't get through. It doesn't get through at all. It doesn't help that I feel as though the character that I really, really was vibing with was in part one, was Charlie Hunnam's character, and of course he's not back for part two because. But, whoo, what's my man next project? Hold on, we gotta hold on. Zack Snyder. What's your next project, big dog? What we got coming down the pipe? What is the next thing we've got coming down the pipe? You've got. Oh, this was it. Rebel Moon was the last thing. Writer, director, producer, and director of photography. It's crazy. Going back, like just look at the filmography. Dawn of the Dead, director, not the writer, goated. I fucking love the 2004 Dawn of the Dead. 300, director. It says writer, but at the same time, it was based on the comic book by Frank Miller. So sure he might have like rewrote some scenes, but it's really hard to fuck up that comic book. Goated. Watchmen, director, not the writer, goated. And I will hold down that Watchmen is top 5 best comic book movies ever fucking made. Legends of the Guardians, that movie was ass. I'm extremely sorry. Sucker Punch, director, writer, producer, fantastic. And I'm gonna hold down that Sucker Punch is still, in my opinion, the best film that he's made, that he's written. It's one of those films that I feel as though when you see it the very first time, you don't understand it, but once you see it the second time, everything just clicks. Man of Steel, goated. I love Man of Steel. Wasn't the writer. 300 Rise of the Empire, trash. Why was it trash? Because he was the writer. Now, remember what I just said about 300 based on the comic book by Frank Miller? This one I don't think was based on a comic book by Frank Miller. I think this was an original work, right? Dun 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 dun. Cast is Lena Headey. Development. Baron revealed the work of being on the Suit 300 from becoming graphic novel. Science on a co-writer and directing adaptation, but instead chose to develop the direct Superman with Man of Steel. Yeah, no, garbage, absolute ass. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. He didn't write it, but it was ass. Suicide Squad. He was an executive producer. I still want to see the David Ayer cut, but whatever. Wonder Woman. Look, he wrote the story for Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman, the first one, he wrote the story for that one, and it was good. I don't understand how, but it was good. The Wonder Woman 1984, he did not write the story for that, and it was ass. So I don't know whether or not Zack Snyder can only write really good stories when the lead is a female, or some shit. Don't know what it is, bro. But we need to figure it out. We need to figure out what your secret sauce is. Justice League, ass. Not the Snyder cut, the Whedon cut. Snyder cut was okay. Aquaman, he was an executive producer. That doesn't count. Justin Wan wrote Aquaman. Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead was fun. It was really fun. But then again, when you sit down and you think about Army of the Dead's story, it's convoluted. It's convoluted as fuck. But the undead action was super fun. The Suicide Squad, he was an executive? Fucking how? That was James Gunn's Suicide Squad, right? Crazy. Army of Thieves, decent. But, once again, exists in the same universe as Army of the Dead, convoluted as fuck. And then we got Rebel Moon Part 1 and Rebel Moon Part 2. We need to help our boy. We need to help our boy. We need to pull together, and it just needs to be there needs to be a council, like a group of us that's like, Zach, you're fucking up. I'm sorry. We need, I don't know. We need to figure out something, because I can't have you keep laying an egg like this and then me having to defend your ass online. We're not gonna keep doing this. We're not gonna keep doing this at all. I'm extremely sorry, but we're gonna have to figure it out. We're gonna have to figure this shit out. But let me know what you guys think. If you finished Rebel Moon Part 2, comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Did you enjoy Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2? If you did, tell me in the fucking comments what you really liked about Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2. Don't just drop in here and glaze Zack Snyder without any type of opinion about the two films, because you need to defend Zack as though your life fucking depends on it. No. Drop it to the comments. Tell me what you liked about Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2. Whether or not I'm wrong. What the story elements in both the films that you really, really fucking enjoy. Say it. If you didn't like it, also comment down below. Let me know. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.